The Thrak were conquerors by design, a race engineered to dominate. For centuries, they had swept through galaxies, dismantling civilizations with cold precision. To them, war was a science, not an art. Every species they encountered folded quickly under their superior technology, their plasma weaponry, and their impenetrable energy shields. Humanity was expected to be no different. Viaroth, commander of the Thrak fleet, viewed Earth as little more than another stepping stone in their campaign. Humans were a strange species, their biology fragile and their technology rudimentary. Yet they were also maddeningly persistent. They clung to their defiance with a tenacity Viaroth had rarely seen. Early battles confirmed the humans' inadequacy. Their aircraft were obliterated by precision strikes, their ground forces scattered by swarms of automated drones. Entire cities fell in hours. From orbit, Earth was a patchwork of burning ruins. And still they fought. The Thrak found this resistance amusing at first. Viaroth often compared the humans to insects, scurrying to rebuild even as their colonies were crushed underfoot. Admirable in a pathetic way, he mused to his officers. Yet, deep down, there was something disconcerting about their behavior. Other species had begged for mercy or surrendered outright when faced with Thrak superiority. Humans, however, chose to adapt. Reports from the front lines spoke of unorthodox tactics. Ambushes in urban ruins, traps laid with salvaged explosives, and soldiers willing to sacrifice themselves to take out a single drone. The humans were fighting not to win but to survive. They knew they were outmatched, yet they refused to give up. This defiance puzzled Viaroth. What drove them to such extremes? Was it desperation, pride, or something more profound? The commander's curiosity did not overshadow his confidence. The Thrak had faced determined foes before, and all had eventually crumbled. Humanity's resistance, though frustrating, was merely a delay in the inevitable. Viaroth ordered his forces to escalate their efforts, deploying more drones and targeting underground shelters with pinpoint precision. As weeks turned into months, the resistance began to wear thin. Human infrastructure was in tatters, their military command fractured. The Thrak pushed deeper into Earth's territories, dismantling the last vestiges of organized resistance. Viaroth observed with detached satisfaction as more humans fell. Yet, something about the species nagged at him. Their eyes, even in defeat, burned with a stubborn resolve. One evening, while reviewing battle footage, Viaroth noticed a pattern in the humans' behavior. Despite overwhelming odds, they clung to hope, adapting to every setback with relentless ingenuity. It was both their weakness and their strength. In time, he believed, their stubbornness would break like all the others. As the Thrak pressed their advantage, humanity seemed to falter. To Viaroth, the war's conclusion was clear. The humans would exhaust themselves in vain defiance, and Earth would join the countless other worlds under Thrak control. Little did he know, humanity's greatest weapon was yet to be revealed. The turning point came not from desperation but from innovation, born of necessity in the ashes of near defeat. A group of human scientists, working in secrecy deep within the underground bunkers of what remained of Earth's resistance, made a discovery. They had salvaged fragments of Thrak drones and began dissecting their technology. What they found was unexpected. The Thrak shields, the key to their perceived invincibility, were optimized to counter energy-based weapons, lasers, plasma, electromagnetic pulses. But against solid, physical objects like blades or projectiles traveling at close range, the shields were ineffective. The revelation was met with disbelief. In a war fought with futuristic weaponry, the idea of resorting to swords and spears seemed absurd. Yet General Elena Carter, one of the last surviving military leaders, seized on the idea with fervor. If their shields are impenetrable to our technology, we fight with what they don't expect, she declared. Her words rippled through the resistance, stirring equal parts skepticism and hope. The resistance's forges, once used to repair broken artillery, began producing crude but effective melee weapons. Blacksmiths, an obsolete profession in the age of interstellar war, were suddenly in high demand. Across hidden bunkers and resistance camps, swords, axes, and spears were being crafted from salvaged metal. The weapons were primitive by any standard, yet there was a grim determination in their creation. The soldiers, too, had to adapt. Training began in earnest, with fighters learning techniques from ancient martial arts and melee combat manuals. Footage of sword-wielding warriors sparring in underground chambers seemed almost surreal. Some mocked the effort, calling it a relic of a bygone era. But for others, it sparked a flicker of hope. Then Thrak expected resistance rooted in technology. What they would face instead was something they could never have anticipated. Word of the new strategy spread among the ranks, accompanied by equal measures of hope and fear. To many, the idea of charging into battle with swords against a technologically superior enemy felt suicidal. But as General Carter reminded them, "We've tried their way, failed. Now we fight our way." The simplicity of the plan became its greatest strength. Then Thrak had anticipated every technological countermeasure. They had not prepared for something so primitive, so primal. Viratha's reports soon picked up on the shift. His intelligence officers informed him that humans were abandoning energy weapons and stockpiling melee tools instead. He laughed at the notion, dismissing it as a desperate ploy from a defeated species. "Swords," he scoffed. "The humans grow more pathetic by the day." He ordered his forces to continue their advance, confident that no army armed with swords could stand against Thrak. But as humanity prepared to strike back, a new energy seemed to flow through the resistance. It wasn't just the weapons, it was the principle behind them. Thrak had reduced humanity to rubble, but they had failed to crush their spirit. This wasn't a retreat to the past. It was an embrace of the one thing Thrak couldn't counter: humanity's refusal to fight by anyone's rules but their own. The first battle with swords was chaos, brutal and unrelenting. On the outskirts of a smoldering city, a group of human fighters launched their counteroffensive. They emerged from the ruins, wielding blades that glinted in the dim light of the burning skyline. Thrak, expecting the usual futile resistance, deployed their drones and marched forward. But this time, the humans didn't scatter or fire useless energy weapons. They charged. Thrak soldiers didn't react at first, relying on their shields to absorb any attacks. Yet, as the humans closed the distance, something strange happened. The shields failed to stop the blades. Steel met alien armor with devastating results. A drone shattered under the impact of a hammer, its delicate internals exposed. A sword sliced through an Thrak soldier, the shimmering energy field around it flickering uselessly. The battle was short and bloody. For the first time in the war, Thrak suffered a decisive defeat. The news spread quickly. Across the resistance, stories of the victory breathed new life into battered fighters. The impossible had happened. Humanity had found a way to strike back. Resistance leaders coordinated efforts to scale up the production of melee weapons and train more soldiers. Blacksmiths became as crucial as strategists, their forges glowing brightly in hidden outposts. Even civilians, desperate to contribute, took up the call, crafting crude but effective weapons from scrap metal. Thrak, however, were not easily intimidated. Virath dismissed the initial defeat as an anomaly, an isolated incident that would be corrected. He deployed reinforcements to the region, overwhelming the area with drones and energy cannons. Yet, when the humans struck again, they adapted. Small groups of fighters attacked in tight formations, exploiting Thrak's reliance on their shields. Every ambush, every skirmish, drove home the same message. The humans had turned the tide. Virath found himself troubled in a way he hadn't been for centuries. The humans weren't just fighting harder, they were fighting smarter. Their use of swords was both a tactical decision and a psychological weapon. The sight of soldiers rushing into battle with blades was terrifying in its audacity. Thrak, accustomed to enemies cowering before their technology, were unsettled by this raw, almost primal form of warfare. The psychological toll on Thrak was evident. Reports from the front lines spoke of demoralized soldiers and fractured units. Drones were being destroyed faster than they could be replaced. Even Viratha's officers began to question the invincibility of their forces. What kind of species, they wondered, would abandon all modernity and hurl themselves into battle with ancient weapons, and win? Humanity, meanwhile, embraced the chaos. Each victory bolstered their confidence. Fighters developed unique combat techniques, blending ancient martial arts with guerrilla tactics. They fought not as a single army but as countless small, adaptable units, each a spark in a growing wildfire. For the first time since the invasion began, hope didn't feel like a fleeting illusion. It felt real, tangible, forged in steel and sharpened on the resolve of a species that refused to be broken. The final battle was unlike anything humanity had faced before. The Thrak, desperate to reassert their dominance, deployed their largest force yet. A fleet of drones darkened the skies, and legions of armored soldiers advanced on the ruins of what had once been one of Earth's greatest cities. For the Thrak, it was a last push to crush humanity's resistance and reclaim the certainty of their conquest. For the humans, it was the moment they had been preparing for, a chance to end the war on their terms. Human fighters, armed with swords, axes, and spears, emerged from hidden tunnels and crumbled buildings. They stood shoulder to shoulder, a patchwork army forged in defiance. General Elena Carter, leading the charge, gave a simple command: hold the line. This is where we take it all back. As the Thrak forces surged forward, their drones unleashed waves of energy blasts. But the humans had adapted again. Makeshift shields, crafted from reinforced steel, deflected the brunt of the attacks. Fighters advanced in disciplined waves, using the terrain to close the distance. The clash was brutal, a cacophony of screams, metal, and alien cries. Virath himself was on the battlefield, overseeing the assault. He watched in disbelief as his forces faltered. His soldiers, once untouchable, were being cut down in close combat. The humans fought with a ferocity that bordered on madness. They didn't just wield their blades. They wielded their fury, their grief, and their unwavering determination. Virath realized too late that this battle wasn't about technology or tactics. It was about willpower. The humans were no longer fighting to survive, they were fighting to win. And they were willing to risk everything to do it. The turning point came when a group of human fighters breached the Thrak command unit. Armed with swords and a few stolen plasma charges, they struck at the heart of the invading force. Virath, cornered, was forced into combat. General Carter herself confronted him, her blade gleaming in the dim light of the battlefield. Their duel was brief but decisive. Virath, for all his strength and experience, was no match for Carter's speed and resolve. Her sword pierced through his armor, a final blow that symbolized the end of the Thrak's dominance. As he fell, he looked into her eyes and saw not hatred, but something far more unsettling: unshakable conviction. With Virath's fall, the remaining Thrak forces panicked. The humans pressed their advantage, driving the invaders into retreat. By the time the sun rose, the battlefield was quiet, save for the sounds of human voices rising in triumph. The war was over. In the aftermath, General Carter addressed the remnants of humanity. We fought with what they could not understand. We fought as one people, one purpose, and we won. Let this be the lesson we carry forward. Never underestimate the strength of the human spirit. Earth was in ruins, but humanity stood victorious. They had faced annihilation and emerged stronger, proving that no force in the universe could break them.